The morning sun poured through. The tall glass windows of Richard Coleman's mansion, filling the study with golden light. The walls were lined with shelves of law books and trophies, symbols of a man who believed he'd earned everything through grit and control. At 60, Richard had built an empire in real estate. And with every deal, he'd learned one lesson: trust no one. That morning, he sat behind his mahogany desk, staring at the gleaming steel safe in the corner. Inside were stacks of crisp $100 bills, gold watches and family heirlooms worth a small fortune. The door of the safe stood wide open, deliberately. Richard had planned this moment. He leaned back, swirling a glass of whiskey, though it was only 9 a.m. "Let's see what kind of person you are." "Maria," he muttered. Maria Gonzalez, his maid for the past 2 years, had always been quiet and humble. She wore faded clothes, took the bus to work every morning, and often brought leftover food for lunch. She never missed a day, never asked for a raise, and never complained, even when Richard's tone was sharp or dismissive. But one thing about Maria unsettled him. She was too good, too honest, and Richard didn't believe in people like that anymore. So he had set a trap. A small hidden camera blinked from the corner bookshelf, angled toward the open safe. "I've seen even loyal employees slip up when temptation calls," he whispered. "Let's see if she's any different." Before leaving for a business meeting, Richard gave one last glance at the open safe. The bills practically glowed under the light, bait for human weakness. As he shut the door behind him, a smirk played across his face. "Everyone has a price," he said quietly to himself, unaware that the lesson waiting for him wasn't about betrayal, but redemption. An hour later, Maria entered the study carrying a feather duster and a small basket of cleaning supplies. She moved quietly, humming a hymn under her breath, something her late mother had taught her when life grew heavy. But the moment her eyes fell on the open safe, she froze. Her heart skipped a beat. "Oh no. Senor Coleman must have forgotten to close it," she whispered. She stepped closer, careful not to touch anything. The safe was full of money, far more than she'd ever seen in her life. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the polished gold jewelry. For a fleeting second, her thoughts turned to her family. Her sick father in Mexico, her son saving for college, the overdue rent. That money could change everything. But then she shook her head firmly. "No, Maria," she whispered, "that's not yours." Instead of walking away, she reached for the phone on the desk and called Richard's office. When he answered, his voice was cold and curious. "Yes, sir," Maria said softly, her accent trembling slightly. "I found your safe open. I didn't touch anything, but I was worried someone else might come in. Would you like me to stay near it until you return?" There was a long silence. Then a simple "do what you think is best," before the line went dead. Maria hung up, sighed, and went to the kitchen. She grabbed a small stool, returned to the study, and placed it near the door. She sat there patiently, keeping watch over the open safe. 2 hours passed. The afternoon sun shifted, shadows stretching across the floor. Maria didn't move except to wipe her eyes when they grew heavy. When the gardener passed by, she smiled and said, "Please don't go inside. The boss left something important." When Richard finally returned, he found her still there, tired, humble, and alert. She stood up quickly. "I didn't let anyone in, sir. I didn't want anything bad to happen." For the first time in years, Richard was speechless. Richard stepped silently into the study. The air felt heavier now. Maria stood by the door, hands clasped nervously, eyes downcast. Without a word, he pressed a button on the remote. The hidden camera footage appeared on the screen above his desk. They both watched in silence. Maria's face when she discovered the open safe, her hesitation, her phone call, her 2-hour vigil outside the door. Every frame stabbed Richard's conscience a little deeper. When the video ended, Richard turned toward her, guilt and emotion swirling behind his eyes. "I owe you an apology," he said finally, his voice trembling. I thought you might try to steal from me." Maria's eyes widened. You tested me?" He nodded, ashamed. "I've spent my life thinking everyone wanted something from me. I forgot what trust feels like." Maria looked at him, her expression soft. "Sir, I understand. The world can be cruel, but I believe if we stop trusting people completely, we lose a piece of our heart." Her words hit him harder than he expected. For years, Richard had built walls around himself, marble floors, locked safes, iron gates, yet none of it protected him from loneliness. Without another word, He reached into his desk and pulled out an envelope. "This is for you." Inside was a check for $50,000 and a handwritten note. "For the woman who reminded me that honesty is the rarest form of wealth." Maria's lips trembled. "Sir, I can't accept this. I only did what was right." Richard smiled sadly, tears glistening in his eyes. "Then that's exactly why you deserve it." He extended his hand, and for the first time, Maria shook it, not as an employer and maid, but as two souls who had finally seen each other's worth. As she left the room, Richard glanced once more at the now closed safe and whispered, "I guess you're not the richest person in this house anymore."